The world was a precarious balance. Three powers held sway, each with its own ambitions and fears. First, the old empire. Hungry for past glory, it sought to revive its former dominance. It had tasted power before. It craved more, driven by memories of its golden age. Then the champion, a flawed hero, once revered, now struggling to uphold its ideals. It vowed to protect the weak, to be a beacon of hope in a dark world. Yet its own demons tore it apart. Internal strife and conflicting interests weakened its resolve. Finally, the lurking serpent, patient and cunning, it thrived in the shadows. It waited for its moment, the moment to strike, to turn the tides in its favor. Each power eyed the others. Suspicion ran deep and alliances were fragile. They knew the fragile peace wouldn't last. The tension was palpable. The old empire, fueled by past grievances, yearned to reclaim its lost dominance, to rewrite history. The champion, grappling with internal conflicts, struggled to maintain its global role, its unity fraying at the edges, and the serpent, hidden in the shadows, prepared to exploit the coming chaos, ready to strike when least expected. The world held its breath, waiting, watching for the inevitable clash that would reshape its destiny. The peace shattered. The old empire made its move. It struck a small, unsuspecting nation, a swift, brutal assault. Tanks rolled across borders, jets screamed through the skies, bombs rained down on innocent civilians. The world watched in horror. It was a display of raw aggression aimed at instilling fear. The old empire's message was clear. It would tolerate no dissent. It would reclaim its former glory, no matter the cost. The invaded nation stood no chance. Its cries for help echoed through the halls of power. The world looked to the champion. Would it intervene, or would it stand by and watch? The champion was torn. Its ideals demanded action, yet its internal struggles paralyzed it. The champion was a nation divided. Political factions clashed. Public opinion was split. Still, the images of the carnage were too much to bear. The champion, despite its flaws, could not ignore the plight of the innocent. The champion decided to act. It supplied arms and added sanctions against the old empire. Still concerned of a nuclear response, it was a gamble, a desperate attempt to deter further aggression without escalating the conflict. The champion hoped to reason with the old empire, to find a peaceful resolution. It was a hope soon dashed. The old empire was not interested in diplomacy. It was thirsty for blood. While the old empire and the champion clashed, the third power watched. The serpent, cloaked in secrecy, saw an opportunity. It had long prepared for this moment. Years of espionage and technological theft had borne fruit. The serpent possessed advanced weaponry, deadly and silent. It was ready to make its move. The serpent's agents infiltrated the warring nations. They sowed discord. They manipulated events from the shadows. Their goal was simple: to prolong the conflict, to weaken both the old empire and the champion. The serpent thrived on chaos. It was in chaos that it found power. Section 5. The Fires of War. The conflict escalated. The old empire, emboldened by its early victories, pressed its advantage. It unleashed its full military might. Wave after wave of soldiers and tanks surged forward. The champion, hampered by indecision and internal strife, struggled to hold the line. The war raged on, consuming everything in its path. Cities were reduced to rubble. Countless lives were lost. The horrors of war knew no bounds. The old empire, driven by its lust for power, showed no mercy. It employed inhumane tactics. Chemical weapons choked the air. Propaganda flooded the airwaves. The world watched in horror as the conflict spiraled out of control. Section 6. A World on Fire. The war became a global conflagration. Nations were drawn into the conflict. Alliances shifted like desert sands. The world was a kaleidoscope of violence and destruction. The champion, stretched thin and weary, poured all its resources into the fight, but it was a losing battle. The old empire seemed unstoppable. Its armies marched on, leaving a trail of devastation in their wake. The serpent, lurking in the background, continued its clandestine operations. It sabotaged the champion's efforts and fueled the flames of war. The world descended into chaos. Hope dwindled with each passing day. Section 7. The champion falters. The champion faltered. Its internal divisions reached a breaking point. Public support for the war waned. Anti-war protests erupted across the nation. The champion's leadership was in disarray. Its once united front crumbled from within. The serpent's plan was working. The old empire sensed weakness. It exploited the champion's vulnerability with ruthless efficiency. The tide of the war turned. The champion was pushed back on all fronts. Its forces depleted, its spirit broken. The champion, the supposed defender of the world, was on the verge of collapse. Section 8. The final stand. The stage was set for the final confrontation. The air was thick with tension, and the dawnlight cast long shadows over the battlefield. The old empire, confident of victory, amassed its forces for a decisive strike. Their numbers were overwhelming, their resolve unshakable. The target, the champion's heartland. A place of great significance, both strategically and symbolically. It was a bold, reckless move, one that carried immense risk, but promised ultimate reward, one that would decide the fate of the world. The stakes had never been higher, and every soldier knew it. The champion, battered but not broken, prepared for its last stand. Every man and woman was ready to give their all. It had one chance to turn the tide. The commander's words ignited a fire in their hearts, a resolve to fight till the end. The serpent watched, anticipation rippling through its ranks. The final battle commenced. The air was electric with the tension of impending conflict. It was a clash of titans. The ground shook with the force of their collision, and the sky was lit with the fire of their weapons. The old empire relied on brute force, its armies crashing against the champion's defenses like waves against a crumbling cliff. Their strategy was simple but effective. The champion, outnumbered and outgunned, fought with the courage of desperation. Every inch of ground was contested fiercely, but the champion had a secret weapon, a weapon that had been developed in the shadows, away from prying eyes. A weapon born from the ashes of its failures. Countless experiments and prototypes had led to this moment, a weapon forged in the fires of war. It was the culmination of years of research and development. The champion unleashed its final gambit. The battlefield was about to witness something unprecedented. A technological marvel developed in secrecy, harnessing the very forces of nature. It was their last hope, their final stand against the overwhelming might of the old empire. Section 9. A New Dawn. The world watched in awe as the champion's weapon tore through the old empire's ranks, a symbol of hope and defiance. The tide turned in an instant, a testament to the power of unity and strategy. The old empire, caught off guard, crumbled under the onslaught. Its defenses shattered. Its armies, once invincible, were decimated, their strength sapped by relentless attacks. Its leaders, blinded by their hubris, were left to face the consequences of their actions. Their dreams of dominance turned to dust. The champion, against all odds, had emerged victorious, a beacon of resilience and courage. But the victory came at a great cost, with countless lives lost and cities reduced to rubble. The world lay in ruins, a stark reminder of the price of war. The old empire was no more, its legacy buried beneath the ashes of its own ambition. The serpent, its plans thwarted, retreated into the shadows to lick its wounds, plotting its next move. The champion, scarred but unbroken, faced the daunting task of rebuilding a shattered world, a world yearning for peace and stability. A new dawn broke over the horizon, a dawn of uncertainty, a dawn of hope, a dawn that promised a fresh start. The final war was over, but the echoes of conflict still lingered in the air. But the battle for a just and lasting peace had just begun, a new chapter in the story of humanity's resilience and determination.